Assalamualaikum everyone, and as you all know, the SAT has now gone digital. In this video, we are going to talk about what are the major differences in digital SCT as compared to the paper SAT, right? Now, the first thing that we talk about is the format, right? We understand that the paper SAT was much longer as compared to the digital SAT, right? If you only talk about the reading and writing section, right, the paper SAT had around 96 questions, right? Whereas if you talk about the digital SAT, the digital SAT has in total 54 questions, right? The same goes for mathematics as well. There are reduced number of questions in mathematics section as well, right? So the format in the digital section has, come down to a lesser number of questions, but, has the difficulty decreased? No, that is nothing that we can say for sure, right? It's almost the same level, or maybe, some questions are even harder, right? So that is the first thing that has changed in the digital SAT, right? Now, the second thing that has changed in the digital SAT, which is, a revelation, and that is, the digital SAT has gone adaptive. Now, this term adaptive has been used for many tests that were, happening before the digital SAT, the GMATs and the GREs, right? They were adaptive. They have been adaptive for a long time, but the SAT has now gone adaptive, and what that means is, right, you have two modules for reading and writing and both mathematics, right? So the first section, if you score well on the first section, right, the second section would be harder, and if you do not score well on the first section, the second section will be relatively easier, right? So that is what adaptive means. So the second section in both English and math would depend on how you perform in the first section, right? So it would be adaptive. Now, scoring algorithms are different. It's not like if you get an easier section, you will be scoring higher, or if you get a harder section, you will be scoring lower. That's not the case. That depends on the scoring algorithm, and that is a complete video that will be, we'll be making a complete separate video on that, how the scoring works, right? So this is the second thing, right, that it has gone adaptive. The third thing is that, if you talk about the calculators, now you are allowed with calculators in both the sections of mathematics, right? Previously, if you talk about the paper SAT, you were only allowed with mathematics, the calculators in the first section of mathematics, right? But over here in the digital SAT, you will be allowed with calculator in both the sections of mathematics, right? So that is the third change that has come about, right? Now, if you talk about the reading and writing part, the passages have shortened, right? Previously, if you talked about the paper SAT, you had long passages and you had 10 to 15 questions from every passage, right? But over here, you have short passages, and you have 54 short passages in the digital SAT, and you have one question from every passage, right? And not only that, in the paper SAT you had the reading section separate and the writing section separate, but in the digital SAT they have combined both the reading and writing sections, and that is how they have made the test, right? Now, relatively, if you talk about, there is a question, right, that whether the paper SAT is harder or the paper SAT was easier, right? We cannot pass any comment on that. Relatively, if we see, there is a standardized version, there is a scoring algorithm, right, that takes you, at the end of the day, the percentile that is created, it's as good as the paper SAT, right? But I would say that the digital SAT is more relevant. The digital SAT is shorter, and it acts and tests your skills rather than those long passages and those that many of the students fail to even complete, right? So it's a perfect test of your skills. If you really want to score high, this is your perfect opportunity. Make the most of the digital SAT. Best of luck.